In this clip, I want to talk a bit about policy and as it relates to the ASAD model. To start out with that, recall that we've discussed the issues of monetary neutrality and fiscal contraction when we start out at a medium run equilibrium. So if we have a medium run equilibrium and we try monetary expansion or fiscal expansion, fiscal contraction, the question is, how do the short and medium run effects differ? Now, that is not the question that policymakers usually have to answer. Policymakers have to answer the question how we get back to the natural level of output and the natural level of unemployment when we are in a recession. So assume that AD shifts to the right due to an investment contraction, such as, for example, the 2001 recession, or as well the recession of 2007 through 2009, combined with a consumption crunch, etc. So let's just assume we have a privately led contraction in demand, and therefore an undesirable short-run equilibrium where we've moved along AS to a point where output is below the natural level, unemployment is above the natural level, and prices are below what had been expected prior. How do we get back to the natural level of output? There are a few options. First, shift AD back up. So with monetary policy, we could shift AD back up and get back to the initial red point. Or with fiscal policy, an increase in, so here M or an increase in G, we would shift AD back up and get back to the initial red point. There is, however, a second option, namely to let the market self-correct. So instead of government intervention, which would be either through M or G, we wait for self-correction. How would that play out? Based on what we've learned in such an equilibrium where P is below PE, price expectations will be adjusted downward. So AS will shift downward until we get a new equilibrium back at the natural level and back at a medium run equilibrium for prices with a lower price level. Does that work? Let's think about the problems that this self-correcting mechanism implies. First, bankruptcies. What happens if the price level falls and hence your wages fall to your mortgage debt? The same for firms that have an outstanding nominal value of debt. What happens if the prices they can charge for their products fall? The real value of their debt rises and the number of bankruptcies will increase. This is what's usually called a debt deflation. So deflation, as prices fall, real debts rise, bankruptcies rise, which leads to further contraction in in output. And so that if there's a significant amount of debt in the private sector of firms and households, debt deflation is a large problem for a self-correcting mechanism to play out. There's another issue, though, that is equally important: hysteresis. What do we mean by hysteresis? First of all, what we assume is that this level here, yn, is invariant. it does not change. We have so far assumed that YN simply does not change. It depends on the institutional characteristics of the labor market, and so on and so on. It depends on our technology, so A does not change, and so on and so on. Now, we can make a simple assumption, namely that if the duration of unemployment is long on average, or the duration of unemployment increases on average, then those long-term unemployed will lose skills. If we lose skill, the natural level of output will shift towards the left. So let me clean this up just a little bit here, so maybe we can read this, read all this a little bit better. And let me include this here in green. Right? In green. So suppose that this adjustment process takes too long, so that the prices falling and self-correcting takes so long that the unemployed have to wait and wait and wait, lose their skills, and yes, then we might return to the natural level, but the natural level itself will have shifted towards the left. So there would be a new equilibrium where P is equal to PE and Y is equal to YN, but at a lower level of output, a lower level of natural output, and a lower level of natural output per capita. Both of these reasons, the risk of hysteresis and the risk of debt deflation, might suggest that using intervention through monetary policy and fiscal policy is the right way to go.